What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with what's next for Umar Nurmagomedov after UFC WIN. Umar Nurmagomedov remains undefeated following UFC Abu Dhabi, but Corey Sandhagen gave Khabib's cousin all he could handle and then some in the card's main event. As everyone and their dog expected, Umar came out hunting for a takedown. But not only did Sandhagen defend the takedowns well, most of the time he was put on the mat, he scrambled back to his feet fairly quickly. Despite Nurmagomedov's struggles in the grappling department, as the fight wore on, he had more and more success on the feet. In round 5, Umar was finally able to control the action on the floor for a prolonged period of time. After the bout, all three judges awarded Nurmagomedov the scrap. Umar Nurmagomedov spoke about his win at the post-fight press conference. Here's what he said.
I'm not happy. It was good performance on the striking, but if we're talking about grappling and how I control him, it was not good, because I will doing great. I think I will maul him on the ground, but he's tough, he's good. Corey is too good and he have hard kicks and he's tough man, you know. And I think he have more experience than me in the UFC cage, but I win.
So what's next for Umar? Well, leading up to the fight, Nurmagomedov reported he had been told by the UFC a title shot would be next. Following the fight, the 28-year-old called for a shot at the belt. But will that happen? Well, given that Sandhagen was ranked number 2 heading into this weekend's card, it wouldn't be surprising if the UFC taps Umar for a title shot, even if he was unable to record a memorable finish. Sean O'Malley called out Umar after his recent win in a video posted to X.
Me versus Umar next? Question mark? Hashtag we'll see. LOL. Undefeated Umar 18-0 versus undefeated Sugar Show 19-0. Beat a Dagestanian. I wouldn't mind that. That'd be a real good way to get at Connor. Ooh, imagine how jealous he would be. That might just be. I might just go with Umar just for that reason alone.
Khabib also reacted to Umar's win in an interview after the fight.
I think 4. From 5, I think 4. Because of his opponent was very good. He's number 2 in the world. You know, he was fighting for the title. He is one of the best on this division. I think he's ready. You know, it's like title fight. You never know what's gonna happen. You know, this is very big fight, very big competition. You know, and you have on his division is Sean O'Malley is a champion. He's a very good opponent. I think if UFC decides, I think Umar is ready.
Khabib was asked who he would prefer to win at UFC 306. Here's what he had to say.
I want Merab, to be honest, because he's from Georgia. We're neighbors, Dagestan and Georgia, you know, it's like, and I want Merab win because it's gonna be very interesting fight, white papaka versus black papaka. But if O'Malley win, it's gonna be white papaka versus pink papaka, you know. But anyways, it's gonna be good competition for Umar, you know, and very good fight.
Currently, Peter Yan is ranked number 3, and he's gone 1-3 in his last 4 bouts. Chito Vera is ranked number 4, and he lost to Davison Figueiredo at UFC Abu Dhabi. Henry Cejudo is ranked number 5, but he's coming off a loss to Merab Dvalishvili, who's challenging the champion Sean O'Malley at UFC 306. So a lot of signs point to Umar fighting for the belt. Dana White confirmed that Umar Nurmagomedov will fight for the title next, according to Kevin Iola. Okay, now let's take a look at Sharaputdin Magomedov versus Michal Oleksiejczuk recap. Sharaputdin Magomedov showcased yet again at UFC Abu Dhabi that he is indeed a master when it comes to the art of 8 limbs, but the undefeated middleweight was unable to put away the ridiculously tough Michal Oleksiejczuk. Magomedov faced his opponent in the co-headliner, who right out of the gate pressured hard. Shara Bullet countered with a steady stream of kicks and punches, as well as some sneaky elbows, which cut his opponent open. By round 3, it was clear Oleksiejczuk would need to finish Magomedov if he was going to win, but he was largely unable to land any punishing strikes. After the final horn, all 3 judges handed Shara Bullet every round. In doing so, they moved his UFC record to 3-0 and his overall record to 14-0. After the win, Magomedov proceeded to call out Nick Diaz, who originally was supposed to fight Vicente Luque today, but that fight was postponed. Marvin Vettori took to X to call out Shara, writing, "Me and Shara in December. Could Magomedov-Diaz happen? Maybe, but since Diaz has been fighting at welterweight, it seems unlikely that the UFC would tap him to fight a monster middleweight like Sharaputdin. Instead, you'd think that the UFC might look at having Magomedov fight a top 15 ranked 185er, or someone who is close to breaking into the rankings, but you never know. Oleksiejczuk, meanwhile, has lost 3 straight now and 4 of his last 5 bouts, so it could be that his run with the UFC has come to an end. Up next, what's next for Tony Ferguson after his UFC loss? Tony Ferguson has repeatedly insisted that despite his lengthy losing streak, retirement wasn't in the cards. But following El Cucuy's 8th straight defeat at UFC Abu Dhabi, you have to really wonder if his fighting days are done. During the opening minutes of his scrap with Michael Chiesa, neither man threw very many strikes. Eventually, the welterweights ended up clinching, and in the ensuing scramble, Chiesa took Ferguson's back on the ground. Moments later, Chiesa secured a fight-ending rear naked choke. Ferguson proceeded to take his gloves off, signaling a retirement announcement, but El Cucuy proclaimed that he doesn't want to retire and alluded to it being the UFC's decision. He talked about it in his post-fight press conference. Here's what Tony had to say.
I have one glove in that cage. That means I'm undecided. I already kind of know where my heart is. I'm not going to say it too much, but I'm going to talk to my wife. I know you guys that are married, you guys don't make big decisions without talking to your significant other. If you do, then that's cool. I always make decisions on my own anyway, but I'm going to talk to her about it, and we're going to go about it from there. There's a lot of things that I want to accomplish. Obviously, I want to go, and I still want to be a part of the UFC. I think that I have a lot to offer these younger fighters, whether that's coaching, whether that's being sports psych, whatever the fuck that is. I've been in this sport for a very long time, and I just grew up in this thing not knowing exactly what the hell I was doing. And it's a dangerous sport if you don't know what you're doing, and it's a great sport if you do know what you're doing. And there's a lot of prerequisites that you're gonna have to have in order to be coached by me or fight for me. So regardless if I open up a promotion, if I go to coaching, I'm not saying I'm gonna be a manager, but I'm not done yet. So I got a lot to do. I'm still hungry.
Also, Tony mentioned that he had vomited 4 times before his fight with Michael Chiesa because he was extremely nervous. This could have played a role in his loss. Here's what Tony had to say.
I felt sick. I threw up probably maybe 3 to 4 times being nervous as f. I usually don't get nervous, but in the back I was kind of like yakking and dry heaving, which was kind of funny how that works. But this is the only sport that makes me do that. When it goes to any other thing, it's kind of interesting how it goes.
So when you consider Ferguson is 40 years old, how many fights he's lost in a row, and all the damage he's taken in recent years, you would think this is it. Case in point, the UFC took a lot of heat for continuing to give the legendary BJ Penn fights, and the losing streak to end his career was 7 fights. Ferguson's well-documented struggles aside the last few years, nothing can change the fact that El Cucuy was one of the planet's top lightweights for around a decade. Not too many people can say that. Khabib shared a message to El Cucuy when reacting to his UFC loss.
It's not a surprise for me because he is 40 years old. I just want to wish him all the best. He is truly one of the best whoever was doing in UFC. I just want to wish him all the best, and his life's just beginning, what I think, because he's just 40 years old and he just finished his MMA career. Now it's gonna be different life, much better.
Now let's take a look at Belal Muhammad goes off on Colby Covington. Colby Covington and Belal Muhammad have traded plenty of verbal jabs and insults in the past. So now that Muhammad is the UFC's welterweight king, it's not surprising to see their rivalry isn't letting up. Far from it. Covington has feuded with many of the UFC's top welterweights, and Belal has been no exception. But following Belal's win over Leon Edwards at UFC 304, Chaos resumed his verbal assault on the new champ. Not only did Covington claim that Muhammad has ducked him in the past, he warned Belal his reign would end if they fight. Well, more recently, Muhammad spoke with MMA Junkie, and it was pretty clear he's not too worried about crossing paths with Chaos.
He's a joke, right? Like, literally everything he says is a joke. What is he, 0-3 in title fights? All I needed was one time to do it. You'll never touch the gold. You'll never be who I am. And just keep talking, bro. Just keep that. You said keep that same energy when I see you, please. I beg you, let me see you. I beg you, let me see you in public. Because, bro, unless he actually fights any of these other guys, he's not going to get another shot. But, I mean, I hope he goes on a good run, beats some of these contenders, and figures a way out to fight me in the cage. But, I mean, all you got to do is find me at a steakhouse, and we'll see if you keep that same energy.
While the feud does make for interesting headlines, Belal is almost certainly right that Colby will need to record a couple of big wins before he gets tapped for another title shot. Covington has also been talking about fighting the undefeated Shavkat Rakhmonov, but even if that happens, and if he were to beat Rakhmonov, would Colby get another title shot at this juncture? Seems pretty unlikely. While Covington also criticized Belal's performance at UFC 304 and claimed he felt bad for fans, Chaos hasn't recorded a finish with strikes or a submission since 2016. So would the UFC really be interested in booking Muhammad Covington anytime soon? Up next, UFC updates. Carla Esparza is booked to fight Raquel Pennington at UFC 307, and as it turns out, it would be the final bout of her decorated career. Recently, the former two-time strawweight champ announced that she'll be hanging up the gloves at the October 5th event. I will be stepping into the UFC Octagon on Saturday, October 5th for the final time. After almost 15 years as a professional, fighting the best of the best, I feel it's time to hang up my gloves. This choice is made for my body and my family. 20 plus years doing combat sports takes its toll. I wanted to give my Cookie Monster fans, who have never been there to watch me live, one final opportunity. It feels bittersweet to leave this sport that I love so much, but I'm happy to be doing it on my own terms. Win or lose at UFC 305, there's no question the Cookie Monster had quite the career. The lineup for UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi continues to fill out, as recently, Marcos Rogerio de Lima announced he'll battle Kennedy Nzechukwu at the October 26 card. It's an interesting move for Nzechukwu, who, following consecutive losses, is moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. And recently, MMA Junkie's Nolan King reported that a fight between Yusaku Kinoshita and Johnny Parsons has been pulled from UFC Vegas 95. According to a follow-up post from King, it looks like the fight will not be replaced for the August 10th card. Muhammad Mokaev reacts to PFL rejecting offer. Dana White recently proclaimed the PFL was all clear to sign Muhammad Mokaev if the promotion wants. But it looks like the PFL also has no interest in signing the undefeated flyweight. As you've probably heard by now, following UFC 304, White announced the company would not be bidding on the services of Mokaev. The 24-year-old completed his UFC deal at the event by recording a decision victory over Manel Kape. But when White was asked about re-signing Mokaev, he relayed it was a hard pass. White cited Mokaev's out-of-the-cage incidents with Kape this year and also inferred they had other issues with the flyweight. So after the PFL's latest event, the promotion's president, Ray Sefo, was asked about signing Mokaev. Sefo had this to say.
No, actually, I've spoken to people that is in the know, and apparently he's just a pain in the ass to deal with. And so, no, we're not interested.
It didn't take long for Sefo's comments to get back to Mokaev as he fired back with these posts. Of course you're gonna say this, I never accepted you deals, nice move. Muhammad Mokaev got interviewed by MMA Junkie and had this to say about the entire situation.
I think between Dana, I think there's misunderstanding. I don't know where he got this PFL talks from. I think it's someone does something behind my back. So I feel like it's not gonna come out of nowhere, PFL in his word. Maybe because it's a competition. I don't even see competition PFL to UFC. UFC is the best organization in the world, and I never spoke to PFL. They don't even have a flyweight, so I don't understand. Even in interview ask, after post-fight interview ask for the new contract because I want to fight the best in the world.
Now, it should be noted that the PFL doesn't promote flyweight tournaments during their seasons, but you would think if the PFL was interested, they would figure something out. And speaking of less than flattering stories about Mokaev, recently flyweight contender Steve Erceg reported he'd seen the fighter treat UFC staff disrespectfully. This also got back to Mokaev, and he responded to Erceg with this. I have great relationship with nutrition team. They help me a lot. Go and interview them before you talk ish you don't know. Unfortunately, because people like him spreading false information, media reacts different. Erceg, don't forget how I came to you and wish you luck at the same card. We sat together. Now you talk different. Also, I wished you luck for the title fight. Muhammad Mokaev came out and asked Hunter Campbell to fight for free in his next fight to earn a roster spot. Not surprisingly, all the comments and drama swirling around Mokaev prompted plenty of feedback online. Case in point, Mokaev's completely ruined his career. Insane. And one fan weighed in by predicting Mokaev is destined to be an Uber driver by posting a fake image of his driver profile. Now, notice they elected to do so with Mokaev having a 95% satisfaction rate. That was nice of them, right? And here are some other comments and reactions that were shared out. And then people will talk ish about Dana saying, oh, he's undefeated. Why didn't he let Conor go? Casual little kid fans. He's 23 years old and acts like a no promoter cares about his record. This is the Dana White effect. Gee, I wonder if Dana reached out to PFL, Bellator, ONE, etc. to smear this dude's name in an attempt to show him who the boss is. It would be hard to prove it, and he gets to stick to, we just cut him. I don't know why others don't want him. Chess, not checkers. Part of me is laughing because I've always hated him, but you gotta feel. Spent his life chasing this, and his results showed that, but now all of this. Given Mokaev's age, record, and abilities, it's almost a given he'll be offered a fight somewhere. But what do you think? Could we see Mokaev fighting for, say, Ryzen or one championship? Okay, now let's look at Alex Pereira and Mark Zuckerberg release SKIT on Olympics. On account of Alex Pereira's historic win in the UFC, many have argued Poatan has become one of the promotion's biggest stars. In fact, some have opined that the light heavyweight champion's stock right now surpasses all other fighters on the roster. Well, regardless of where you come in on that, there's no doubt that Pereira has become a pretty big deal. Case in point, recently, Pereira starred in an Olympic-themed skit alongside gazillionaire Mark Zuckerberg.
Hello, Shama.
Shama. One, two, three, Shama.
What did you think? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Dana White exposes the judge in the UFC lawsuit case, saying that they went to school together and that the judge could be out to get Dana for something he did in school. Here's what Dana had to say.
It's getting to a point now where this feels personal. You know, I went to high school with this guy.
With Judge Bowler?
Yeah, me and Lorenzo went to high school with him. I don't know what the hell me or Lorenzo did to him in high school, but this seems very personal.
Wow.
So, yeah, we went to high school with this guy.
You didn't beat him up in high school, though, or you didn't bully him, did you?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think I did anything to this guy. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened, but there's no doubt in my mind and that this feels absolutely personal. And whatever it is with this guy, we'll let the lawyers deal with it, and it is what it is.
The MMA community reacted by saying, shows why fighters elected to sue. Only force of law can truly change their pay. UFC's conduct has to be completely unassailable to think the judge's actions can be reduced to personal retribution. No one believes that is changing practices on their own. Dana is full of ish. Hey, newsflash dump. Maybe the judge made the ruling because the UFC is a monopoly with anti-competitive business practices. The judge has had his case for almost a decade, and somehow this was never mentioned? BS, LMAO. Jesus, what a C. Your company screws over fighters and needs to change. It's got nothing to do with you. Massive egomaniac. Oh, poor billionaire Dana White. Was it personal when you've been suppressing fighter pay too? I bet fighters think it's personal that you take millions out of the company whilst paying them the same bonus check for over 10 years. More money for UFC should mean more money for fighters. But it doesn't. Top comments. Why do I have a weird feeling Dana will make either Alex or Islam the undercard of Jones just to reinforce his pound for pound thing? It doesn't matter if Jones beats Stipe now or not. Stipe is 43 now, hasn't fought in 3 years, but outside of his heavyweight record, he's at least 6 years out of his prime. So it makes no sense. The only way to overtake the best heavyweight of all time, since Stipe has been beat multiple times, his reign is to beat the records he set. Otherwise, defeating Stipe now proves absolutely nothing when it comes to being best heavyweight of all time, period. Damn, Dana calling Topuria lightweight champ is either a sign that he's not actually as involved as he should be, or he's so involved he's burnt out. Conor McGregor will get wiped nowadays, and it's not even funny anymore. It just shows that since he got rich, he just doesn't give a crap.